Okay, I'm back. Now, where was I? Oh, the knowledge of good and evil. Um, there's so much you have to understand. Now, everything I explained to you, most of it comes from the Bible. Most of everything that I say is through an understanding of the Bible, interpretations, that is, that fit with the entire Bible that I've followed as far as I've seen. Now, whether they're correct or not, that's God will judge. But at least I try to get it right. So what I'm telling you about the mind, right? All of this can be found in the Bible. When I say you can divide the mind into three parts, the conscious, the subconscious, and the superconscious. Uh, the words subconscious, superconscious, conscious, you may not be able to find those words exactly in the Bible, but the interpretation I'm giving you, there are other words that say the same thing that really there's no point in going all that. But I have to give you the interpretations in a way that can be easily understood. So I tell you by calling it the subconscious mind, the superconscious mind. But all of these ideas that I'm trying to communicate to you, they are in the Bible. Not just in secular and worldly works and things, but they're in the Bible. And they are from interpretations that fit, to the best of my knowledge, fit from beginning to end. Now, this knowledge of good and evil, that's where your superconscious mind, the superconscious mind, it's like the interface between the quantum field and where your mind becomes electricity. So at that point there between the quantum field, some people say, I think like one of the ones, I saw one of his videos, and he says the fifth dimension, and he explains it that way. That's the place where you interact with the spiritual. At least that's the way he says it. But what I'm talking about is the superconscious mind, the place in your mind that interacts with the spiritual. Now, the fifth dimension, as best I understand it, is it's a dimension where the material of consciousness is. Now, the interpretation I'm giving you is the oldest, as far as I know of, interpretation of what consciousness is. Most people today, they are under the impression or the belief of the New Age interpretation of consciousness, that it's this living thing, that it's outside of you, that everything is joined as one, when that is not the interpretation I'm giving you. Consciousness, as I understand it, is a dead material like dirt, or a piece of iron or a rock. It's the fifth dimension. It's the material in the fifth dimension that reflects that quantum field back to your mind. Now, the place that energy is first received is called the superconscious mind. That's the place where that energy, separates from, the quantum and is received by your mind, so to speak. That's the place where your mind separates from the universe, the cosmos, ever how you want to say it, or thought. It's the point of electricity is where that is occurring, wherever that is in your mind. Some people say that's the pineal gland. Some people say that if you slice the brain vertically down the middle, and then you look at what you see is the Eye of Horus, and it's true, it does look just like the Eye of Horus, but I don't know that is the Eye of Horus that those priests at the time, which, by the way, the priests were the scientists of those days. But I'll get into that in a minute. the priests of Ramses anyway, or specifically I want to talk about a little bit, because they understood that we were living in an electric universe. But I'll talk about that in a minute. Let me go on with this superconscious mind, because that is the place where the electricity separates. That's where, or emerges from the quanta. The energy passes through the five dimensions, so to speak, and it is reflected on the fifth dimension back to your mind. Now, that energy is caught in a loop between the material of the fifth dimension, which is consciousness. If you understand that consciousness is just a dead material in the fifth dimension, and everybody has their own consciousness. It's like how many rocks or how many grains of sand are there on the beach? There's plenty for everybody to pick up and have grains of sand. You see, so everybody has their own consciousness. We're not joined in this oneness of consciousness. That's not true. Other than in the sense we all have consciousness. You see, now the interpretation, once again, I'm giving you is based on my understanding and knowledge of the Bible, right, and science and all these different things I've ever read. It's the best interpretation I've ever seen. It's also the oldest of the interpretations of what consciousness is that I've ever come across. And really, it's also the Illuminati interpretation of consciousness, because you can read this interpretation from the Illuminati symbols. That was one of the first places over 3 years ago when I first started my videos. I had some of those symbols on my board. One of them is a symbol what was called the two faces of the mirror, and all of the Illuminati symbols are overlaid on the image of the two faces of the mirror. And really, the two faces of the mirror, what that is it's a pictorial representation of what I talk about as the quantum paradox of consciousness. You see, consciousness is trapped in this paradox, in the knowledge of good and evil. You see what I'm saying? That energy is reflected off of that dead material in the fifth dimension. It comes back to your mind, so it's caught in a loop, coming back to your mind, reflecting off of that image. The first place that it reaches, or first part of your mind in terms of psychology that it reaches, is your superconscious mind. Now, at that point, all there is the knowledge of good and evil. It's the place of knowing. There's no believing, there's no questioning, there's no thinking. That's the place of knowing. And all that you're capable of knowing is the knowledge of good and evil. That's all that's there. And that part of your mind in terms of psychology. Now, the reason for this is because we are living in an electric universe. Now, I was talking about the priests of Ramses, right? Now, remember, the priests of Ramses, they were the priests when Moses confronted Ramses I. He threw down his staff, and it turned into a snake. Well, the priests of Ramses came along, and they threw down their staff, and it turned into a snake. Well, see, there's a lot of history behind that. Well, how did they do that trick? You see, how did they do that? You see, they weren't just priests. They were also scientists. They were the scientists of their time. Because, remember, I've explained to you how all science is the final development of a religion. Now, all Western science is the final development of the Christian religion. You think of all things Christian, right? The science developed out of the Christian religion. The science we have developed out of the Christian religion. You see, well, the science that they had, the science that built those pyramids, the science that did all those things, every miracle that Moses did, or at least the first 4 miracles I'm aware of, the priests of Ra were able to replicate those miracles. They did it scientifically. They did it in a scientific way. Whereas Moses, it was supernatural. There's a difference. But see, all science is the final stage It's the final development of a religion, whatever science is. So the science that those individuals were practicing, those priests were practicing, it was the final developmental stage of the religion that came before the civilization of the Egyptians. So it's important that you understand that. Just like today, the science that we practice, that we have, right, that the priests of today have, that practice, the scientists, and that's really what they are, you know, the science we have today is the final development of the Christian religion. You see, and now it's science, this is a very important point that you always need to keep in mind, is the greatest gift that science, any science, can ever give mankind is a means to destroy ourselves. And the greatest gift that religion can ever give mankind is an excuse to use the means of science. The reason this is because religion is a denial of the power of God. That's what religion is. You give up the power that God gives to you as an individual. You give that up so that you can be a part of that group. You perceive yourself to be gaining power from being a part of that group, and that's what you get, which is a natural power, you know, collective bargaining, whatever you want to call it. That's basically what you're doing. You're trading the supernatural power that God gives you as an individual for the perceived power you gain from being a part of that group, from believing the ideas that they teach. Whether you like them or agree with them is irrelevant. That's what you're doing when you accept that religion. So now it's only natural that science would develop out of religion, because science is an attempt to regain the power, the supernatural power that you give up to religion. Only science tries to regain that power through natural means. You see, and that's what the science of the Egyptians at the time came from, the religion that was before the civilization, just like today. Our science comes from the religion that was before our civilization, which is the Christian religion. You know, our science is founded on the Christian religion. The reason I'm bringing all that up, and science, it's destroying us right now. Look what it's done to the Gulf. The Gulf and what's going on in the Gulf, the chemical reaction that's melting that methane glacier, the synthetic bacteria they dumped in there, it is threatening right now to destroy the earth and to erase the human race, you know, to make the human race go extinct. I mean, we're being threatened right now, and it's science that did that. Science. So anyway, there was a great article about scientific suicide here about a month ago. But the thing is there's been an experiment, and in this experiment they reproduced the red effect. What's it called? The thing that they based the Big Bang Theory on. They based the Big Bang Theory on this red shift, you know, where you look out into space and you see the red. And so they base the whole theory on that and say, well, it's red because, you know, the red shift is there because the universe is expanding. You see, that's why they say it's there. Well, that red shift has been done in an experiment on Earth here on a person's table. Really, the redshift effect, it's the result of plasma, you see, and electricity. It confirms what those priests of Ra knew 4,000 years ago. They knew that we lived in an electric universe, you see, and that's the physics model of reality that Christian science teaches, Western science teaches, is outdated. It's been proven wrong. There was no Big Bang Theory. And this electric universe theory also fits with creation, with everything that the Bible says. And I'm running out of time, but I would like to talk more and explain why the knowledge of good and evil is an effect of the fact that we live in an electric universe. But I love you guys. I might do another video and just keep this going, because it's stuff that I've really, over the years, I've really looked into in depth. I've known about the electric universe for at least 15 or 20 years and really studied it in the Bible. So love you guys. Talk to you again soon.